All right, so we're going to get started today, and we're going to go through a high-level talk about SEO, and we're going to go through some active and very, very awesome tips and tricks to help you really move, your website up and all the keywords that matter up higher and higher to get more organic traffic and to ultimately drive organic sales. And so, yeah, all these different tips we're going to cover have all been time tested with our existing clients, and we're constantly actively crawling for new and improved techniques across the board. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're just going to dive right in. So first, quick little introduction to SEO in general. So SEO is just a mathematical equation. It is links plus content. And this is super simple. We're simplifying something that's very complex, but let me just explain a little bit more. The reason it's mathematical is because ultimately it is a formula. It's formula driven. It's very simple to build it out when you look at it like that. And ultimately it feels kind of like a video game. There's the content piece, which is literally your words on your page. It's making sure that it's of value, it's high quality, it's written in first person, all the different factors that Google's crawling and looking for to make sure your content stands out. And then links are backlinks. And so just for the record, we specifically as an agency focus mostly on the content. We do deal with the links, but the main reason that we don't as much is because if the content's great, like ours is, then you naturally get a ton of backlinks going to them anyways. You can actually bypass the need for links, assuming that you have enough topical authority and covering all the right questions and answers, inside of your content you're creating. And ultimately, links today are mostly purchased, mostly bought, so they're pretty much a waste of money because they can actually hurt you if you buy the wrong one or execute it, not properly to where it looks like it's fake. So the SEO timeline, and this is something that I always get asked by clients is, how long does it take to get SEO results? Well, it depends on what results you mean, because we can see the metrics move much faster than what you could even imagine, almost immediately after we post the content. So there's so much that we can do there, but let's get started. So first you create the content, you put it on your website. That content then starts to get crawled and indexed by Google, which means Google starts attributing keyword rankings to it. So that way they're then driving users to your page. And the keywords then become impressions, because you're not going to rank on page 1 immediately unless you have a big site. You may rank on page 2 or on page 3, and maybe you are actually in the back of page 1. But either way, if someone's Googling CBD gummies, for example, and you're number 9, but they only click on the first one, you didn't get anything out of it, but you did get impressions. Someone technically saw your link in Google, and that's what's important. That's impressions first. Then as you start to rank up, you start to get in the top 3. And the top 3 results get you those sweet, sweet clicks, which then it's a whole different ball game because now you have traffic going to your site. This is obviously the first thing we're fighting for, but you can, we can 5x your traffic, which we've done for quite a few clients. But if you 5x your traffic and you don't convert, that's a problem. So then we have to actually hopefully drive conversions to your website and basically control that traffic and lead them down the path to actually convert. And that's how you get that sweet money. So that's really kind of the pitch there. We focus again on the beginning of this timeline, the content and what keywords you should be ranking for with that content. And yeah, you can immediately see the metrics when you know you're on the right track. So how do we do it? Number 1, apply best practices. It's not rocket science. Google is very open about what they like, what they don't like. The big thing is pushing user experience. You want to make the user experience as great as possible for the potential client. That's a no-brainer. Boom, leverage competition's budget. This is super important. Why would you spend money A/B testing when you can just look at your competition's website and just basically utilize their ideas, utilize their testing budget, utilize the money they've spent on it. It's a good way to fast track it. And then finally, test strategically and track obsessively, meaning that you want to really be testing out all your strategies in a proper order, a lot of them at one time with special ratios to make sure that you're on the right track. And the only way you know you're on the right track is if you do track it obsessively. You have to look at all the improvement of the values, and you have to look at it from week over week, month over month, and really kind of how it builds. That's super, super important. But ultimately, the goal is, again, just to maximize value. And this is a quick slide just to show why our content specifically ranks and really kind of what we've done to build this out. Prime example is, these are just some key tips here. Your URL, even the URL structure is so important. It should be an exact match. If your product is, a white collared shirt for men, well, and that's maybe the keyword, that's what it should say. If your brand name is alpaca and you sell alpaca fur hoodies, it should probably be that. It shouldn't have like your brand name in the URL itself on this area, on the very last little bit of the domain. So done. H1 should match search intent. It should match your SEO title. It should ultimately match your URL. You want your most high value keywords to the far left, that H1, ultimately in the title. So if we're doing a CBD gummies article, it would be CBD gummies : do they really work? that would be a great H1, a great title of an article, and also the URL would be /CBD minus gummies, and it will crush. It will crush, and that's the move. H2s, this again, we're going into HTML structure here, but they should be answering all the right questions. How do you know those questions are right? Well, I'm going to show you because Google tells you what questions you need to look for. Super key. And again, also the order of these questions matter. The question people are looking for the most should be at the very top. Done. Once you get that going, then everything else becomes much, much easier. So structure, you want to build these hierarchies of pages. You want to really drive links to the right pages. You want to focus the right pages in your blogs, which are a means to an end, should support the copy and the content on your collection pages and product pages in a way that makes sense. And that's what's super key. We're going to go through a couple sites here just as an audit. Our main goals here are, one, to identify strengths and weaknesses of these brands. What are they doing right? What are they not doing right? Identifying the most important keywords. That's extremely essential. You really need to make sure that you're nailing down the right keyword for the right page and not using it in multiple places so you're not dealing with keyword cannibalization. And finally, let's identify competition. Not just your direct competition, but your search competition. Meaning if you're in the apparel industry, you should probably be looking at the big sites like H&M. You should be looking at the big players to see what they're doing. How has their website changed? What are they looking at? How do they run their filters? What does their collection page look like? Do they have copy anywhere? How are their product pages structured? Where do their reviews show up? What color is their buy button? All these different things, they're spending thousands of dollars and have hundreds of employees testing on a monthly basis. So why would you do it yourself when you can just borrow their strategies, borrow their testing? So boom, that's where we get prescribed strategy. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, let's go through a recent client. Let's do getsold.com. So they're a CBD company, and if you guys didn't know, maybe you probably did from SEO side, but there was a lot of rumblings in the SEO world recently from a September update, an August core update to Google's algorithm. Google pretty frequently releases core algorithm updates, but sometimes they make way more damage to websites than others. And the CBD industry specifically took a massive hit. Well, our clients didn't, but the CBD industry in general did. Because what they were looking for was making sure the content was bang on, it was written in first person, it's written by experts, it's delivered properly, the user experience is great. Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of the CBD industries, they're not. They're kind of doing hacky SEO techniques, and it's not moving the needle. So big thing here is we actually benefited greatly from the recent updates. A lot of sites didn't fare the same. And so what I wanted to show you guys is what we did to get there and what's really been working super well for us. And then we'll kind of go into some other case studies, some other examples. So the main thing, whatever, we're going to be looking at Hrefs to use this as a tool. So we're going to be looking at Hrefs, look at the metrics, and then we're going to talk about some of the techniques and some of the different, important factors that you can use also on your site to move the needle. So whenever we're first looking at this main page here, we're looking at all the different URLs of a website combined into one quick view. And so this is the total organic keywords they're ranking for, the quantity of organic keywords. Up here, if I checked organic traffic, that's actually the quality of the keywords you're bringing in, meaning that if you're ranking number 1 for CBD gummies, you're going to have way more traffic than if you're ranking 10th for CBD gummies. So it's basically a combination, a weighted average of all of these keywords and all the values basically pouring in. And you can see that, yeah, our keywords did rip, but most importantly, that sweet traffic ripped. That's what we're looking for, the long and short of it. So let's look at the top pages. So if this wants to load, which we have to come back to this is basically going to help show us which pages specifically are driving that value, which pages which pages are ultimately moving in the right direction. And we can look at this a lot of different ways, but the main way we want to look at it is the keywords per page. Looks like this is having trouble loading, but you can kind of get an idea of what it's doing here. This is still the combination, so you actually want to compare pages and then go that direction. But basically, if you're comparing pages, you'll basically ultimately see that some pages have more value than others. And that value is basically determined on, what they're ranking for, how they're ranking, and why. But ultimately, how do we tell Google that we want them to rank? So this, of course, Ahrefs isn't working for this, but I can walk you guys through it in a couple other ways. We can look at it here. So for example, we added copy to a lot of their product pages. So I'm going to filter the URL for only having an inclusion of the words product in the URL. And we'll see what keywords have improved and are new off of some of these pages that we've been upgrading content with. And then from there, I can show you exactly examples of how you should be structuring your content, how you should be putting it on the page, and ultimately why you're putting it on the page. That's super key. So let this load here in a second, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, I will actually show you the website itself. So the main thing that you really want to do, especially whenever you're starting out to optimize your website, you want to basically start breaking down your products by benefits, breaking down your products into sections, into the overall keywords that make the most sense. For example, CBD gummies is a big one here, and really managing their actual collections. So your collection pages will naturally get more links than your product pages 9 times out of 10 if you have a lot of products. If you don't have a lot of products, then your product page is actually kind of where the money's at. And what's super important is making sure that you're putting copy in the right places on all these websites. So let's go to, we'll do sleep. This one is huge. So they actually didn't even have a sleep page. They had it was like a generated page basically that would, based on a query, it would basically create a sleep page. So the very first thing we did with them was take that query page and create a true hard-coded URL onto their site. But we didn't name it CBD for sleep. We named it sleep aids because that keyword is actually significantly more valuable. And yeah, you can actually see a lot of it here. So these are actually the products. But you can see, let me actually just go to this really. Let's go to Keywords Explorer. Boom. We're going to go to sleep aids. Sleep aids. Oh. And you can see here, it's got massive traffic. And there's got quite a bit of cost per click on here. So people are definitely taking out ads on this, which means it ultimately converts. So what we want to do also is Soul themselves they're actually evolving, not just from a CBD brand, but also, a generalized sleep product brand and really just wellness products. So we wanted to basically future-proof it by making the URL for the collections more open-ended. But the magic of it is way down here at the bottom. Boom, look at all this sweet copy. It's basically a full blog post tacked on. It's like 3,000 words tacked onto the bottom of the page. And, normally no user is going to scroll down here, but guess who will? Google, whenever they crawl and look at this page. So not only are your collection pages already getting a lot of backlinks, but what's happening is you need to capitalize on those links, because if you don't have enough copy on your page, Google doesn't know what to rank. And most importantly, we want the structure to be perfect. So first of all, we want it to be above 2,000 words just to make sure that we're not having a thin content issue. And then separately, we want to make sure we only have one H1 that makes sense. And we want to really build off of how the structure is ultimately, and make sure we answer all these questions. How do they work? What are the benefits? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the frequently asked questions, all these different areas. So how do you figure out these questions when you're designing your content? Well, you actually figure that out by putting it in Google. So let's look at sleep aids and also separately CBD for sleep. But you scroll down here, Google will tell you right here in the people also ask section. So you basically use the people also ask section to then effectively build out your content, to figure out exactly what you should be, talking about. What's the safest sleep aid to take every night? What's the strongest over-the-counter sleep aid? You can obviously angle these questions as headings and angle the results for the questions, or, your paragraph underneath the question more on brand, more about your product and why your product is better, for example, than maybe some over-the-counter sleep aid, period. So that's a really good way to angle it. Another tool you can use is also asked, which is a great way to showcase how this works. So for example, let's say we're looking for sleep aid. Boom. Then you will see quickly in a visual representation of why you need these questions to rank. Because Google is basically attaching these questions to each of these search queries. And so if you kind of build it out like a spider web, you'll be able to see exactly how Google looks at it. So for example, of the sleep aids query, one of the main questions is there a sleep aid that actually works? And if you Google that, then you're also asked questions are these. What is the number one sleep killer? Is it safe to take 10 milligrams of melatonin every night? Et cetera. All of these can be blog articles. All of these can be headings on this blog article. All of these can be headings on this collection page, with then H2s here and then H3s here. There's so many different ways you can do it. You can't go wrong, basically. And I think that's super important. Super important. So hopefully that makes sense. This is a super cool tool to use for that. Another thing we're about to release pretty soon here is actually our own version of this tool that then incorporates ChatGPT to then actually create the content for you, just like we write it. So this is currently in beta still. Eventually we'll release this out to everybody, but it's based on our idea of using a cookbook or using a recipe to create these articles. They're going to be super on brand. So it's very simple. So for example, I'm going to use a preset here. I'm going to use get sold, which is boom right there. And check this out. So you can actually see where we talk about the company name, the audience, the tone, description, value props, detailed descriptions. And you go to outline your article. And where that's going to put our keyword in. It's going to be sleep aid. Or let's do best sleep aid. Best sleep aid. Boom. Is it negative? Meaning, is it got negative connotation? Is it like a bad product? It's not, so it's good. We're going to do first person. Everything we want to write is in first person today. That's the move. That's what you want to do. Don't worry about the unstructured or structured. Let's throw something in. Let's do sleep aids. Why CBD is better than the rest. Whatever. Perfect. And we're going to search for headings. This actually query is also asked to effectively pull these headings for you, and then also coupled with some secret sauce to get a few other really on-brand headings that we might need to write this article. So this is hopefully going to show you, once this loads, a good idea of how you can really structure this content and ultimately how you can make sure that you're bringing forth the exact questions you need to have in your article, how you need to restructure it, how you need to talk about your brand, when and where, and how it's all done. So let's do this. Understanding CBD sleep aid, advantages of CBD over traditional sleep aids. Why would you choose CBD for better sleep? CBD versus other sleep aids. Let's not use that one. It seems a little weird. Why CBD outshines other ones. The rise of CBD in sleep treatment, and next-gen sleep aids. That's pretty good. So we got 6 headings there. Boom. So let's do the FAQs now, which again, FAQs are a great way to add extra length and also cover random questions that may not fit in the actual article, but would definitely need to be on the page to rank ultimately. So let's see what we come up with for those, and we'll choose those, and then we'll generate our article, and we'll see how it comes out. But the goal here is basically to just cover everything possible. So what is a sleep aid? Best natural. Can sleep aid be harmful? What is the best sleep aid for insomnia? Are prescription sleep aids better? Can you become dependent on sleep aids? How quickly do sleep aids work? These are all great examples. Done. So now we got all this set up. We're going to generate our article. Boom. Now we got to wait a little bit because it's querying ChatGPT. We're going to come back to this once this is done. And yeah, so this is how it's going to work. And then we're going to have a full ready to go article that you can just download very simply. And then obviously you do need to edit it, right? Because you're going to get all the possible information out there that you could ever need about sleep aids, about whatever topic you want. And the goal is you really have to query it. You have to curate it. You have to dive into it and make sure you're talking about the headings right. If it's got too many bullet points, you need to turn them into subheadings. Like, there's a lot of ways you can optimize it to make it look real, but this is an incredible first draft. This really comes out well. We use this internally. We basically just sassified our existing project here, our existing program, system, and process of how we do it, and go from there. So super cool, but I think it's really important to explain how we develop our content, because it's really key to look at it like this. It's exactly what we do. This is exactly how you rank. You rank things for literally any keyword, and it crushes it. So that's the move. So it's almost done here. You can see the progress bar at the top. And we will just see. Should almost be done. But the goal ultimately to get a proper SEO piece of content, which again could be on your product page, your collection page, a blog, it could really be on anything. The goal is just to make sure that you're answering all these right questions. You have proper HTML structure, and Google is not confused on what you should put. So boom, we got our URL there, best sleep aid. We got our meta description. We got the word count. It's over 2,000. We got everything we need here. I mean, this is basically completely covers it. So sleep aids, why CBD is better than the rest, like we discussed, an introduction. Then basically, boom, all of our different headings here, all the different structures. We got everything. We could possibly need a call to action here, a little call to action box. We got the mid part of the article. Obviously, use introduction twice. You got to clear that out. But I mean, overall, the history, significance, why, again, it's super powerful. But this is the main goal, really. Like they've got all the FAQs here that we need, and we can even fine tune it. So, for example, we can fine tune it and say, rewrite this as if Bob the Builder was teaching kids on what sleep aids are. Bear with me here. This is a live example. So let's check this out. Let's see how this comes out, and then we'll take a gander. And ultimately, then you just export it, and you just got to clean it up, and then you post it to your site. You convert it to HTML, and you drop it on the very bottom, and it's super simple. So boom, look at that. Hey there, kids. Today I want to talk about something super important. blah, blah, blah. This is pretty great. Why CBD is the best choice. Let's see. Why sleeping's coming to save the day. It's pretty cool that how ChatGPT can basically do all this. I think it's way more personal. You may feel tired, grumpy, or even sick more often. Yikes. Yeah, like the way that this thing can actually breed in on brand voice and tone is really impressive. So yeah, there's so much that you can do here. It's pretty insane. And actually, wow, this is pretty neat. Actually edit the article directly in. It's pretty damn cool. So yeah, so pretty crazy. But yeah, so let's see here. Can we do this and make this H2? Let's see. H3 maybe? Oh, boom, look at that. Super cool. So anyways, long story short, this is going to be released soon to the public, and this is a great way to really figure it out. But cool. Let's dive into something else here. Let's talk about overall strategies. So the big things that you can really do is add copy to the bottom of your product pages, add copy to the bottom of your collection pages. But really this blog style content works super, super well. And once you just put it in the right places, it crushes it. The other thing that you need to start doing is thinking of these glossaries. And really, like, for example, we'll go to another client here, but building out these really high-level glossaries, focal.com/blogs/wellness ingredients. So blogs are a means to an end. But whenever you're using them properly, they really allow you to boost topical authority drastically, quickly, and really ultimately crush it. And so, for example, we have a ton of these independent pages about all these different ingredients that our client uses. What that does, it tells Google that you are an expert on your products and on the ingredients in your products, and here's why. And not only that, but we'll also rank for different keywords around Siberian ginseng and around the different things that are ranking for your products as well. So people are looking for ginseng and they happen to have searched CBD in the past. Boom, look at that. You're going to show up in the search results for them. So it's pretty magic. Also, make sure you're also putting your products into your blog. Super key. Really important. These blogs drive a ton of traffic in general, but that's great for brand visibility. But if you're not converting, then what's the point of them? So you should definitely be turning these into landing pages if you can. Using Replo to basically drop sections in, or separately just dropping in your product slides here. I think that's really good way to basically do it. So let's look at one of the potential people that were going to join this meeting. Let's take a look at their website. Let's just audit them live as an example. So it looks like one of the people that were going to join was management. Here we go. JoyariaCastro.com. Joyaria. Check it out real quick. Oh, and Joyaria. Boom. Okay, so definitely in Spanish, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. But definitely a nice jewelry store. Looks like they do switch to English. That's great. I wonder where they're based. So I mean, this looks great. So let's see how their website performs from an SEO perspective. All right, let's take a gander. So very low domain rating, decent organic traffic though, and keywords, which is great. I'm guessing a lot of them come from Mexico, of course. That makes sense. Ecuador and Colombia, which is why the low domain rating doesn't even matter, because you can actually rank very easily there. It's less competitive. But this is perfect. So overall, Google's liked what you're selling them. However, it looks like the core algo update did kind of knock you back a little bit, or at least you lost your growth, and you definitely got nailed on some of these main keywords up here. So let's take a look. Let's start auditing this and take a look at your pages, at your keywords. Also look at the site structure. Site structure first. I want to see where all your backlinks are going. Are they going to your product pages, your collection pages? How does your traffic look? Where is it mostly focused? Yep, your collections, your pages, blogs. So really the collections, which makes sense. Probably your engagement rings, etc. Yep, boom. Yep, that makes sense. Your biggest ones being your graduation. I guess maybe that's graduation rings. Let's see. My Spanish is not great. Yep, yeah, graduation rings, exactly. So degree rings. Okay, it's really interesting. So, and you don't really have any referring domains to any of this. So that's actually great. I bet the page is ranking is probably the same page that has all the traffic. No, wow, amazing. Okay, so what is this? Tache de Nivio. Okay, interesting. Oh, how do you measure ranking? That makes sense. Well, that page would crush it. definitely checks out. So that makes sense. So let's take a look at the top pages. So I know we just looked at kind of what we should expect to see. Top pages isn't working, of course, and organic keywords isn't working. So this one's not going to work today. But just quickly, let's take a look at this separately then. So let's look down here. Let's look at Isabella. Let's look at how their product page is set up. They got their reviews here. They don't have the number of reviews, which would be helpful. They had that. Looks like they have different types. These are running off of variants. Good. Looks like Danilo de Compromiso, Corte Olvadio. So it looks like the other URL is pretty decent. This is definitely the main keyword here. Your promise ring, period. So that's perfect. They don't have a lot of words on the page, it looks like. So if I was going to look at this, what I would definitely suggest is to beef up this word count. So you should talk about an article about, how do you know this ring's a fit for you? How do you know that you need this ring? Why your rings are better than other rings? All these different super important, like your reviews actually will tell you a lot as well about what you should talk about in the article. You basically write a whole article, you drop it at the bottom, and it absolutely crushes. I think that's super important. Easy way to rank your content up very, very quickly. So I think that's really key. It looks like they even have like their independent blogs right here. It's pretty interesting. Testimonials, services. I know overall the website looks pretty good, but I think the main thing you can do is just more targeted content. Looks like you are actively producing content for it, which is great, but maybe you could be more SEO minded in what you're basically trying to rank for. So I think maybe you did think about it. These are engagement rings for men. So you're definitely thinking about SEO, I think, because that's definitely a main keyword there. But I think it matters how you're basically writing and creating this content. So for example, I imagine that these are probably a lot of the main keywords. So first of all, you have very long meta descriptions and they're duplicated. That's a problem. Same with title tags. It's a Shopify issue. Probably an app that's duplicating them for you. You have no H2s, which is an issue, and your word count's extremely low. So yeah, no, all you need to do is you just need to beef up these blogs. That's going to actually drive massive traffic very quickly. So go back in, beef up your blogs, use ChatGPT to write more content, get it in there, use the right questions by basically just Googling engagement rings for men and seeing what questions pop up. Use those exact questions and basically figure out what you should be talking about, just like that, boom, boom, boom. And you add that to your page, add H2s, send it back to Google to crawl it, and you should crush it. It's a really great way to get your traffic up really quickly. So apologies today because it seems like that Ahrefs wasn't working very well, but all in all, I think there's a few key notes you guys can take from this. But ultimately, I appreciate your time here today, and hopefully we all talk soon. And again, you can reach us anyways at quickbot.com. You can sign up for a free live site audit. You can email me directly at robert@quickbot.com.